A man walks into a bathhouse in Rome. He is not carrying soap. He will not use soap on his body today or on any day of his life, and neither will anyone he knows. Instead, he is rubbed with oil, olive oil, worked into the skin until he shines. Then someone takes a curved blade of bronze, a strigil, and drags it slowly down his arm. The oil comes away, and the dirt comes with it, and the sweat and the dust of the street and the whole long day. They scrape him clean the way you would scrape a plate. And here is the detail that tells you how strange the old world really was. The gray paste that came off the athletes, the oil and the sweat and the skin all mixed together, was not thrown away. It was collected, it was bottled, and it was sold at a good price as medicine. That man is not doing hygiene, he is doing society. We know exactly what his bathhouse sounded like because a philosopher lived above one and could not concentrate. Seneca lists what came up through his floor: the grunting of men lifting weights, the slap of hands on shoulders, the splash, the shouting, the man who plucks hair from armpits, and the customer who shrieks when he does it. And under all of it, the sellers of sausages and cakes and drinks, each with his own particular cry. That is not a bathroom. That is a gymnasium, a club, a business floor with water in it. It is where you went to be seen. Now, soap did exist. 4,000 years ago, someone wrote down a recipe: fats boiled with the ashes of a fire, and it worked. It cleaned wool, it cleaned wounds. It was not for you. When Pliny the Elder finally writes the word soap, he says it is an invention of the Gauls made from tallow and ash, and he explains what they use it for. They use it to make their hair red. Soap was a laundry product and a hair dye for thousands of years before anybody thought to put it on a body. So if the ancients barely washed and washing was a party rather than a duty, why do you feel dirty? Because the feeling came first. Long before anyone knew that a germ existed, your ancestors had disgust. Researchers like Valerie Curtis and Mark Schaller describe it as a kind of immune system that works outside the body. Your real immune system fights the infection after it arrives. Disgust tries to stop you from ever touching it. But disgust cannot see a germ. Nothing in you can. So it does the only thing it can do. It reads clues. Rot, slime, bodily fluids, a smell that says something has begun to break down, the face of somebody sick, and that is why it can be fooled so easily. A brand new bedpan, sterile, straight from the factory, still feels wrong to drink from. Sweet fudge, if you shape it like something else, becomes hard to eat. You know the facts. Your body ignores them. The alarm is not reading the germ. It is reading the shape. That alarm is old. It is blunt. It kept your ancestors away from the things that killed them. And it is very, very easy to point at the wrong thing. For most of human history, nobody pointed it at you. Getting clean was something you did with other people. In the Roman bath, in the Turkish hammam, in the bathhouses of medieval Europe, which the English called the stews, where you bathed and ate and stayed a while. The Japanese have a phrase for what happens in a public bath: naked communion. You sit beside someone with nothing between you, and you talk, and rank goes quiet. Finland's sauna culture is protected today by the United Nations as living heritage. Washing was warmth. Washing was belonging. And then Europe got frightened of water. Plague came. Syphilis came. And with them a theory that made perfect sense at the time. Hot water opens the pores of the skin, and once the pores are open, disease can walk straight in. So the bathhouses closed, and people had to find another way to be clean. They stopped using water, and they started using cloth. A white linen shirt, changed often. The historian Georgia Vigorello puts it perfectly. The shirt had become a sponge. It cleaned. You proved you were clean at the collar and the cuffs, and what happened underneath was nobody's business. You may have heard that the Sun King Louis XIV bathed only twice in his entire life. He did not. That number is simply false. He had a marble bathroom at Versailles with hot water piped to it. The truth is stranger than the myth. At the greatest court in Europe, being clean meant fresh linen and perfume and dry rubbing and a real and reasonable fear of the water itself. Which brings us to your bathroom and to how recent it is. The daily shower needed indoor plumbing. It needed hot water that cost almost nothing. It needed a private room in every home with a drain. The sociologist Elizabeth Shove studies how these habits get assembled, and daily showering was assembled about a century ago. Your great-grandmother did not skip her shower. She did not have one. And then in 1919, a young copywriter named James Webb Young wrote an advertisement in the Ladies' Home Journal for a small ruby red bottle called Odorono. The headline read, "Within the curve of a woman's arm," a frank discussion, it promised, of a subject too often avoided. What it told women was this: you may smell. Nobody will tell you, but everyone will know. Around 200 readers canceled their subscriptions in protest. Sales went up. Now be careful here, because it is tempting to say that advertising invented this shame, and that is not true. The disgust was already in you. It had been there for 100,000 years. What the advertisement did was take that ancient alarm, built to detect rot in the world, and turn it around and aim it at your own body. Consider how arbitrary the target is. Whether you smell at all depends partly on a single gene called ABCC11. Most people of East Asian descent carry a version of it that leaves almost no underarm odor, which is why deodorant is barely sold in much of the region. Not virtue, not discipline. One letter in one gene. None of this means you should stop washing. Harsh soap, used constantly, does damage to skin's barrier, and the ecosystem of bacteria living on you is real, but it recovers. The companies selling you bacteria in a spray bottle are not scientists. Wash. Enjoy it. Just be honest with yourself about what the ritual is doing. Because when you skip a shower and feel that small, quiet shame, notice the exact shape of it. You do not feel unhealthy. You feel unacceptable. That is not your immune system talking. Your body has no idea whether you are carrying a disease. It is reading a rule you were taught in a room your great-grandmother never had about a defect that somebody once learned how to sell. The Roman is scraped clean with bronze and goes to argue about money. The Finn sits in the steam beside a neighbor and says nothing. Somebody's grandmother pulls a fresh linen shirt over her head and considers the matter settled. Not one of them is dirty. Neither are you. Your disgust is real and ancient and useful. It kept the people you come from away from rot and sickness and the water that was not safe to drink. It was never designed to tell you that you personally are unacceptable. You are not dirty. Your alarm is ancient. Someone simply learned how to ring it.